if you were to find, for example, 3 men physically attractive, would you be able to, for example, say he's more attractive than this one and this one's more attractive than the other?
Yes, I would be able to.
Like,
or maybe they would all be attractive.
Sure.
It would depend.
For example, perhaps there's 100 people in a room, say 50 of them are men.
Yeah.
You could, to some degree, put them in order of, you could maybe say, that's the most attractive guy in this room.
There could probably be guys that were more attractive, but maybe some would be kind of equally attractive. Yeah.
Certainly. There could certainly be men of a comparable physical attractiveness.
Similar.
And likewise, you might see a few men in a room who you find unattractive,
Maybe less attractive.
who you're not attracted to.
Yeah.
And you could say to some degree that there's degrees to how not attracted to them you are.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Okay, so I mean, the 1 to 10 scale system is basically that.
She's saying it's subjective. So like if you go to an art museum, she could say all these paintings are beautiful, but there's certain ones that I'm more drawn to, and you can rank all the paintings, but you can still acknowledge that they're all beautiful.
Thank you.
I think
That's
it's
what I'm
okay
saying.
as a Christian to understand that beauty is objective. Like even in the Bible, it talks about, the Bible records saying that Sarah was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Rachel was more beautiful than Leah. You know, Esther was
That's a
beautiful.
good point.
That's why she
That's a
was
good
chosen
point.
by the king, because she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Like, it's okay if we're not all 10s. It's okay if, you know, if we're honest about that, because it does help appreciate, you know, objective beauty. We can appreciate it without feeling devalued by it.
But it's not objective, because you take all the 10s in one city and bring them to a room full of Victoria's Secret models, and every guy would agree that their rating goes down. So how is it objective?
That is a really
There-
good point. Sorry,
there
I think
are,
it is subjective though.
There are objective traits, like women across the bar find taller men, you know, more handsome. If they've got a wider jawline, sharper jawline, that's more attractive to them. You know, wider shoulders, broader shoulders, that's attractive, because those are all signs of high testosterone levels. So biologically, women across the board, whatever country you want to go to, women are attracted to things about men that show that they're good leaders, strong providers, strong protectors. And so it's a biological thing. Like, it's not a shallow, you know, conceited, vain thing. And in the same way, men also have, you know, traits that they seek in a woman, because it communicates to them that she is feminine, that she can carry a child, because men really want to, you know, procreate and have children and carry on their bloodline. And so they want women who, you know, who objectively have wider hips and fuller breasts and things like that, that sign gives a sign of fertility. And so it's okay, like, it's okay to be biologically wired. It's okay to have a history as a human race and to have preferences. Men and women both have preferences. And the subjective part, I think that's a great thing, because if you're 4'11", if a man is 5'5", or just 5 foot tall, that's perfect for you, you know, because he's still taller than you, because he still communicates protection and provision to you. So that's the subjective part, but there are biological traits.
But yeah, there's a subjective part. Like, if you walked around UCSB, because we're in Santa Barbara, and went to like the hottest guys at UCSB, and then you, like, they're a 10 to the people that live here, and then you asked like the most beautiful movie stars or whatever, TikTok people, whoever you want to bring, if they're a 10, they wouldn't say that, because they're just like average looking people. Like, it just depends who the audience is. So
True, but isn't it kind of just trying to be kind of politically correct when you're just trying to say that, oh, like, you know, everyone's beautiful? Like, you're just trying to not answer the question, you're trying to leave. But the harsh reality is that, like, attraction matters, and obviously men look at it. Men are very visual creatures,
Right.
and women also, they do go based on attractiveness, even though obviously they're going to lean more into, like, personality and the full package. But the reality is that people are going to look at how you look.
But attraction
that
is different to everyone. Like, you could think someone is a 10 out of 10, and I look at them and I'm like, I would never talk to them a day in my life.
It's both. It can be objective and subjective.
And guys can be attracted to girls they don't think are objectively attractive either, that they would rank a 5. So attraction and attractiveness don't even usually go
And
hand
I can
in hand.
say, like, I can look at someone and be like, yeah, like, they're like objectively attractive, but they're not my type.
Yeah.
Like,
or girls can be really turned on by confident guys who they would still objectively, in terms of looks, rate like a 2, right? But that could be the guy who makes them more wet than they've ever been in their entire life. That's why I think the rating system is kind of irrelevant to dating dynamics.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was just saying that I just want to ignore the subjective part of rating, because as I mentioned, I just think that we were all created beautiful, and I don't think there's a point in being subjective with ratings.
Well, I think it's kind of delusional, because it's like you have to the rating has to be there, right? Because it's like we see attraction in people, right? I mean, this is not
Well,
like
yeah,
coming
we
for
do.
anybody. It's just a
I-
debate.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I'm saying is like guys are gonna find like certain girls attractive, right? And then certain girls are gonna find something else attractive. Like that's just
Yeah.
how the world works. Like it's like a harsh reality to face, right?
Yeah, but a man could be a solid 10 but live in his mother's basement. So I feel like there's also multiple different rating scales on a 1 to 10 standard.
Well, sure. I mean, there's all kinds of factors. I mean, there's status, there's personality, there's money. But I mean, we are kind of specifically talking about just physical appearance here. But you said that the 1 to 10 rating scale is irrelevant?
I think it's
Or
kind of inaccurate because, like I said, you take all
inaccurate.
the 10s of one city and put them in a room with other girls. So I don't really see what the point of it is. And like I was saying, I don't think most people actually factor in that rating into their actual attraction to someone, like that objective sense of attractiveness. Because, like I said, guys could be turned on or like have the best sex of their life with a girl who's less attractive than their wife because there's something about that interaction that turns them on. And same with girls. And even like you just said, yeah, there's objective cues, but two people who look exactly the same could walk into a room, but if one's wearing a red shirt and one's wearing a blue shirt, people will rate the one in a red shirt higher, right? So that's why I think like we think we're looking objectively, but really we're factoring in like clothing, confidence. If someone walks in with like an air of confidence, we're going to rate them higher. So that's why I think it's useless.
Well, I mean, certainly the way you dress and present yourself is going to have some impact on how someone deems and how someone rates you. Same with personality, same with status, same with whatever. You mentioned confidence, for example. And certainly it's not, I don't think when we're talking about the 1 to 10 rating scale, we're not saying looks is the only factor when it comes to attractiveness, but we're speaking about something very specific and we're speaking about physical attractiveness.
Yeah, and I'm saying like even physically wearing a shirt on your body can change your rating, the way people objectively rate you drastically.
Sure, and for example,
And
if
that's
someone
looks.
has a positive, sunny disposition,
smile, yeah, instead of
if they're
frown.
chipper, if they're smiling,
Mhm.
that in itself, just purely
Yeah.
on the physical level, can make them appear more physically attractive.
Mhm.
But I think, for example, I guess where it matters, if we look at someone if you lined up 100 people and you said, hey, they all generally said this person's a 10. Looks wise, they're a 10. Whether that's a man or a woman, that's going to have an impact when it comes to their dating life. If someone is a 10 in terms of looks, can you agree that they're probably going to fare better than someone who is ranked lower?
Well, it depends, because I think red pillars will be the first to argue that girls don't really factor in looks as like a cardinal
I
point of
disagree with
attraction.
that,
They
but-
factor in status and height more, right? So
I think looks. I mean, I think looks are pretty important.
I agree with that.
But
I made an episode about that, what became fairly popular. It was called The Part That Women Always Leave Out. And a lot of guys, especially when they're younger and they're confused about women, they ask women, like, what are you looking for? And they'll say things like, oh, I want somebody kind, and I want somebody who's generous, and I want somebody who's interested in having a family. And the guy will listen to these things and kind of nod and be like, okay, well, I'm a nice guy, I'm kind, and I'm willing to have a family, and I could be generous and share the things that I have. And they go out and they really try to highlight those things because they're kind of taking on good faith that that's what the women are going to respond to sexually. And they're generally in for a rude awakening, because I think the part that women tend to leave out is that they want all those things, but they want those things from the men they are attracted to. And I think that most women have been attracted to men who did not possess all of those characteristics. So the attraction always comes first. And then among the attractive options, women then get to choose which of those attractive men to her possess the best possible option for a relationship moving forward.
I agree that attraction needs to come first. Like I was just saying, like if a guy you're not attracted to flirts with you, you're gonna be turned off, but that doesn't mean that what she finds attractive is based off an objective rating, or a guy who's objectively rated as a 10. Like again, you could be really attracted to someone because they're funny. You're conflating what she finds attractive with an objective rating scale.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's irrelevant. I would say it's relative. I think that's the word that you were going for, because if you could be very attractive in one context and move them to another, it doesn't necessarily mean that that attraction level is irrelevant to their decision making or their perception, just that it changes based on content, context, and other factors. So it's not like inherent to the individual.
Yeah, I guess my point was you were saying girls are only going to like those traits in guys they're attracted to, but we were talking about the rating system, and I was saying I don't think that means they're factoring looks into their attraction was my point. I'm saying, like, again, that could be based off, like, if the guy makes her laugh and she finds him hilarious, or
Mhm.
she finds him rich, so she's going to be attracted. That was my point.
The rating thing was just on physical appearance.
Yeah.
I think that's the. Yeah, that'd be like step 1, and then step 2 is like, what's he like, his personality, etc. Do we get along? So it's just strictly
So in
about
that
physical
case,
appearance.
the rating is fine then, because physically, then that's possible to do that.
To do
right?
what?
To just like rate somebody like based on what they look like just physically then, because obviously you're saying like personality and you're saying like well-roundedness and everything, but I feel like then it's fair to ask everyone